Hello and welcome to another episode of Sustainability in Your Ear, the Earth911 podcast. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, your host. And this week we're going to be talking about baru seeds. They're a new superfood that's harvested in the Brazilian Cerrado. That's the high rainforest. And it's an alternative to many nuts, but particularly to peanuts. It tastes very much like a peanut, kind of an unroasted peanut, and a little bit like cashew is what struck me when I tried it. And you can hear it, I've been eating them. And we are pleased to be joined by Mamalider, who is the Director of Business Strategy for Organic Traditions, which makes or distributes the baru seeds. Welcome, Ali. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about my new favorite snack.
Well, you know, I am a convert myself. I've got a couple of bags here, and I'm looking forward to eating them during the day. So tell us about baru seeds. Where do they come from, and what makes them a sustainable alternative to the peanut?
Yeah, so baru seeds come from Brazil. They're indigenous to Brazil. They're actually grown, as you mentioned, in the tropical savannah or the Cerrado region of Brazil. And as you mentioned, they taste kind of like a peanut meets an almond or a cashew. They're a wonderful snack, a really complete well-rounded food in terms of their nutritional profile, and we'll get more into that. So they're really just wonderful, wonderful seeds that everyone should know about.
They're interesting to look at too. They look like they're made of mahogany when you first get them. They have a red skin, and then the meat itself is white, but it's a very striking seed when you pick it up. How did this come to your attention and become a product here in the United States when it's grown by indigenous people in Brazil?
So that's a great question. Just as a brand, Organic Traditions, we're really committed to regenerative agriculture. And we're always looking for new products that meet the nutritional needs of our customers that are really, truly superfoods, but that also support sustainability and our crop that we can fully stand behind. So we're always on the lookout for new and exciting things. And this came to our attention early in 2018. And so at that time, myself and my team really did a deep dive, meeting with the suppliers and learning a lot about how the baru seeds are harvested. And although we normally only really promote certified organic items, we couldn't resist adding this to our lineup because it was just such a wonderful superfood. And the reason it's actually not certified organic is because it's grown so wild, crafted, and wildly picked up by the indigenous populations in Brazil. So it's something that we just couldn't pass up. And I think that the more people learn about it, the more they're going to be interested to try, just not only for the nutrition and the taste and it being a great snack, but because of what it helps to support in Brazil as well.
So who are these indigenous peoples?
Yeah, so the actual region that we're talking about here is about the size of Europe. So if you can imagine, that's a huge area, and there are indigenous populations living there, just like there's indigenous populations also living in the Amazon rainforest. Unfortunately, this area gets a lot less media coverage than the Amazon rainforest gets. But the people living there, they've been forced to work in crops like soy or things that really support deforestation. And so this crop, it's not even a crop, it's just something that's naturally part of the ecosystem. It gives them an opportunity to create cooperatives with different supply partners and to really forge their own economy, something that they haven't been able to do before while supporting the environment that they're actually already living in.
So these trees had been being cut down for wood, but now that they've been recognized as a food crop, that's actually increasing the retention. So they're not being cut down and they're being planted more, as I understand. Now, as Organic Traditions looks at the choices it makes, and you suggested that, although this is not truly organic, it's natural. It's already being grown in this state. So this does not require any pesticides, and the water use is much lower than a traditional nut as well, isn't it?
Yes, so I'm glad you brought that up. Compared to any other nut or seed, because these trees are naturally a part of the ecosystem, they're not requiring any additional water other than what's already coming through with rainfall. There's no irrigation that needs to be set up. And what's interesting is these trees and other trees that are indigenous to this area, they actually create rivers and help with the water in the area. So this area of Brazil is known as the water tower. And that's because of trees like the tree that grows the baru seeds. So actually, the more that we can scale it and support the local communities to replant these trees, the more it's actually improving the water situation in these areas rather than take away from it.
That's an important point. A lot of people have referred to the rainforests and the high savanna as the lungs of the world. And they really do actually pump oxygen and water into the atmosphere, and we don't give enough credit to that. So that's great that you're doing that. Let's shift gears and talk a little about the nutrient and protein profile. So this has far fewer calories than other nuts, but tell us about how it compares to peanuts in particular with regard to protein and other nutrients.
Yeah, so for protein content, what's great is for 100 grams of baru, you actually get 28 grams of plant-based protein versus peanuts, which give you 24 grams. So still pretty good, but with peanuts, we've got a lot of issues with allergens. You can't take them to schools, and it's really not helping any kind of regenerative agriculture. Aside from the protein content, baru is also a lot higher in it's a lot lower in carbohydrates. So in 100 grams of baru, you have about 14 grams of carbohydrates, whereas in peanuts, you have 21. And then the third thing to consider is that these seeds are so high in fiber that those carbohydrates that are there are then netted out to even a lower number. So it's really a great snack that's going to keep you feeling full for long time. It's providing that protein, that fiber, along with a lot of other minerals and nutrients like zinc and manganese and all these other wonderful things that are great for your daily diet.
Yeah, the other one that I was impressed by is the level of antioxidants, which were 7 times what are in peanuts.
Exactly. And as either your listeners know or don't know, antioxidants is what really drives anti-aging. So the higher you eat foods and antioxidants, think like dark colored berries, superfoods, nuts and seeds that do have a lot of high antioxidants, the more you're helping to sustain anti-aging in the body.
So let's talk a little about what you can make with a baru seed. Obviously, that's the first step, is to create something that folks are going to like. Now, you can make a milk from this. You could make an alternative to peanut butter. What other kinds of food suggestions do you have for the baru seed?
So it's really just the limit of your own imagination. We've done a lot of fun stuff with baru seeds in the office here, and a lot of our, we call them OT lifestylers, have shown us really great ideas on social media as well. So some of the things we've seen is, the answer to peanut sauce and kind of like Asian or Thai focused sauces. You can make a baru seed dressing that answers to that peanut sauce. For stir fries, you can make baru butter cups, so a lot of healthy desserts, things that you would normally chop nuts and put them into, you can use the baru for. We've created cookies with them. We've created, as you mentioned, nut milks with them. We've created the baru butter with them. Another thing that a lot of people have done is create ice cream out of it. So like a high protein ice cream. It's really just endless. And one other thing I wanted to mention for what you can do with them, but also just for the sustainability, is that it's not just the baru seeds that you can consume. The actual fibrous shell that they fall off the tree in is a very sweet, high protein fibrous shell. So this is a fully sustainable crop from end to end, because you can use the oil, you can use that shell to create a flour or to create crunchy chips. And all of that are things that you can really explore with recipe development.
That's interesting. So the husks, which are kind of fibrous looking and substantially larger than the seed itself. So that is also something that can be consumed. That's interesting.
Exactly. And what happens is the indigenous populations that are picking these up, they're really harvested once a year. They fall from the trees naturally, and they pick up a certain number, and a certain number are left on the ground to continue the cycle that they were already in with the biodiversity in that area. But the parts of that, as you said, husk are, they can be ground down and almost be like a protein powder supplement because it's so high in protein and they have a very pleasant semi-sweet taste.
Huh, interesting. Do you have that product as well?
So that's coming soon. We're looking at everything we can do to fully integrate every aspect of the Baru fruit or Baru seed into the products that we carry as a brand.
That's fascinating. Now, are there, let's talk a little about the socioeconomic benefits to the community. They don't have to take a job doing something that's destructive to the environment or their home. Are you also helping them, raise their standard of living? Are there water programs or other things like that are emerging out of the prosperity that this is creating?
Absolutely. So I don't want to take too much credit. We work with supplier partners around the world for all of our different products, and we really vet them and make sure that we know what they're doing in their local communities if it's something that we're not involved in directly ourselves. And so in this case, our supplier partner has been working in the area since 2014 to help build cooperatives so that the people working there have a voice, so that they're 100% involved in the process, they have a say, and that the wages that they're being paid are fair and agreed upon by both parties. And they're helping them put these programs into place to really try to help scale it to be more of a global phenomenon as it should be.
And that's the other question that I have is as it scales up, do the agricultural and harvesting processes change in any way? I mean, they're still obviously going to need to grow trees, but this doesn't look like it will become part of an orchard approach to growing. It'll be a natural environment. How does this scale up?
Yeah.
Or does it scale up? Or is there so much now that you don't need to scale up?
I think that it's going to have limits. We have to see how it develops over time. It would be irresponsible to just, go and have them wildly plant an unimaginable number of these trees. But I will say that the discussions we've had with our supplier partner and with the cooperatives is that they strongly believe scaling up is possible, and that this crop really does help incentivize local communities to preserve the existing trees and to plant more, which captures a lot of carbon. It discourages the continued deforestation that we're seeing with other crops, like soy, for example. And it's going to help keep those water cycles in place. So the potential for scaling up is really going to depend on how we work together with the cooperatives. But I will say that I think as long as it's planned out, we don't see any imposed risk to the sustainability or the environment or the regular ecosystem in that area.
Well, that's great. So how can folks get it?
Yeah, so you can definitely find Baru seeds on our website, www.organictraditions.com, and you just look for them there. You can also find really fun recipes on our website. So just type Baru into the search bar, BARU, and you'll find all kinds of inspiration and things to do with it.
Well, Ali Mamalider, who is Director of Business Strategy at Organic Traditions, thanks very much for joining us today on Earth911's podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Well, folks, that's another interview, and we'll be back soon with more episodes. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. This is Earth911. Have a great day.